And welcome everyone to this South Huron Public Meeting, July 13th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. Please ensure your cell phones are turned off or on mute, with the exception of our firefighters, of course. And welcome to the members of the public who are attending this evening in the gallery and those that are participating from Zoom. All members of council are in the chambers, and I'll ask for disclosure of pecuniary interest at this time. Are there any disclosures from members of council? Not seeing any. Turn to our clerk, Madam Clerk. Purpose of the public meeting, please.
The purpose of the public meeting of the Council of the Corporation for the Municipality of South Huron is to consider and review proposed zoning bylaw amendments under Section 34 of the Planning Act. This meeting is to also allow interested members of the public the opportunity to ask questions or offer comments on the applications. Council will not make a decision on the proposed amendments at this public meeting, but based on the recommendations and information received at this public meeting, the proposed amendments will be presented for approval at a regular council meeting. The public registry for the applications are located by the door and will be held by myself, the clerk. If any member of the public would like to be notified in writing of the decisions, they are to provide their name and mailing address on the respective registry. Third parties do not have the right to appeal the decision. Only the municipality, property owners, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and a specified person under the Planning Act or public body that has an interest in the matter may appeal the decision. Please refer to the County of Huron website for details on appeal rights.
And thank you, Madam Clerk. And we'll turn to our staff. Ms. McIntosh for item 4.1, please. Welcome, Selena, whenever you're ready. And I believe you're on mute.
Thank you. Yeah, complications of attending virtually, but thank you, Mayor Finch. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. I'll just get my presentation on the screen here before I begin. Okay, so the first application that council has before them is zoning bylaw amendment application Z02 2026, that should say. That the property subject to this application is located at 200 Huron Street East in Exeter. The owner is Haybold Ontario Limited, and the applicant on their behalf is Finlatter and Associates. So the purpose of this application is to rezone a portion of the subject property, and that is a condition which was approved through consent application C31-2025. Specifically, the portion of the property will be rezoned from residential high density special with a holding to residential low density. So here's a 2025 air photo of the subject property. The lands to be rezoned are outlined in red here, and the lands outlined in red are also the lands that are being severed as a result of that consent application. As council can see, the lands to be rezoned currently are vacant. The remainder of the lands, there is an existing high density development and then existing vacant lands as well to the north there. And this is just a photo of the subject lands. We're looking north from Huron Street here. In terms of comments received, no comments were received from members of the public, and no concerns were received from staff as well. So this was, as noted, this is an application that was submitted in conjunction with an approved consent application. The applicant is seeking to construct a single detached residence on the subject lands, thus necessitating the zoning bylaw amendment because a single detached residence is not a permitted use of that R3 zone. But generally speaking, this zoning bylaw amendment combined with that severance application does maintain provincial and local goals for permitting higher density infill within existing built up areas, such as this area in Exeter. Specifically because those lands to the north that I mentioned that are currently vacant, as we can see again in this picture, are being preserved to be potentially developed to a higher density one day through ensuring that there is still access to Huron Street East and that there is a viable building envelope left after the severance of these lands in red. So generally speaking, this zoning bylaw amendment does achieve all of those local and provincial planning goals in terms of ensuring that we are allowing for higher density development within Exeter. And so it is recommended that South Huron Council approve this zoning bylaw amendment. I'm happy to provide any clarification or answer any questions of council at this time.
Thank you very much, Selena. Are there any questions or comments from members of council at this time? Councillor Oak, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wondering, this is a single family dwelling. Is there any indication, because just around the corner, some of those single family dwellings have there's 3 units there. I guess just wondering if there's been any indication if that's the case or if it's just going to be a single family dwelling.
Selena?
Thank you. Through the mayor, that's a great question, Councillor Oak, and a great opportunity for clarification. Technically, with that R1 zoning, they would be permitted to construct any permitted use within the R1 zone. So that zoning doesn't restrict them from specifically constructing a single detached dwelling. They could go to a bit of a higher density, but whatever they construct is going to have to fit within that smaller building envelope. So we can't through this application specify or guarantee that it's going to be a single detached dwelling. But I know that the applicant is online tonight and perhaps he would provide clarification on that through any additional comments he may have.
Okay. Is the applicant able to provide any information or? Okay. I guess, yeah, John, if you could come down and just sign in and identify yourself, that'd be great. Great, and just have a seat and you can turn the microphone on and just state your name and your involvement in it, please.
John Bolton with Haybolt, Ontario Limited. So to that point, at this point, we don't have drawings made for the lot. Our intent was potentially not an apartment, but an accessory suite in the basement. But there is a chance that we don't potentially build it. We could sell the lot as well. And at that point, similar to what the other comments were, as long as it falls within the zoning bylaws, that would be the intent. At this, like I said, at this point, we don't have drawings or actual designs for the lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Celine, do you have anything further at this time?
Yeah, I think I'll just add that existing R1 zoning, it technically would permit up to a triplex would be sort of the highest density. But again, we'd need, given the size of the area to be rezoned, that would be a consideration for realistically what is the highest density that could be achieved on that lot.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Are there any other comments from members of council at this time? Not seeing any. We'll go to the public in attendance. Any comments? John, do you have anything further at all? No, we're fine. And there's no one else here who'd like to speak to it, Madam Clerk.
So Dan Smith is online if you'd like to provide comment.
Go ahead, sir. Do you have any comments at all?
Thank you, Your Worship. Good evening to you and members of council. I'm with Finlay and Associates, and we've been assisting John with the application. We've had the opportunity to review Selena's report and certainly support that, and support her comments too on the permitted uses in that R1 zone and possibility of their going to something a little bit different than a single family detached in the future. But given the size of the building envelope, those opportunities are limited to what's in that R1 zone as of right. So we certainly support what's being said, and we just kindly request that council be supportive of the application as filed. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. As there's no further questions from members of council or members of the public, are you aware of any other persons who'd like to speak to this, Madam Clerk?
There are no other individuals online.
Thank you. Very well. And we'll move on to item number 5 then. Welcome Selena to talk about this as well. Go ahead,
Great,
Selena.
thank you. Okay, thank you. So this is zoning bylaw amendment Z03 2026. The address of this property is 70610 Babylon Line. The owner is Jane N. Morlock Limited, and the applicant on their behalf is Murray McKercher Professional Corporation. So this is again a zoning bylaw amendment that has been brought forward as a condition and a result of a consent application, this one being file C53 2025 that was approved last year. In this case, we are looking to rezone to two separate zones on the property. That consent application did result in the existing buildings being approved to be severed from the remaining farm. And so as a result, this zoning bylaw amendment application seeks to rezone that building envelope to AG4-2029, which is a special agricultural small holding zone, and then to rezone the remaining farmland to AG2, which is our restricted agricultural zone. And for context for council, these are the two zones that we automatically rezone parcels approved under the surplus residence severance process to. And I'll kind of get into why we have a zoning bylaw amendment before us, as opposed to just having an automatic rezoning in this case further on. But this is a 2025 air photo of the subject property. So the lands outlined in yellow being that vacant farmland, that is what's being proposed to be rezoned from AG1 to AG2. And then that building envelope parcel being outlined in red, that's what's proposed to be rezoned from AG1 to AG4-29. And this is just a photo of the subject property, and we're looking east here from Babylon Lime. In terms of comments received, similar to the last file, no public comments were received, and we had no concerns from municipal staff or agencies. So consent application C53 was a disputed consent application, and the applicants chose in that instance not to apply under the surplus residence severance application stream. Rather than be a disputed surplus residence severance, they chose to just apply for a severance period, being to sever that farmhouse and existing buildings from the farm. So because of sort of the stream that was chosen and the policy review that took place for that file, it doesn't qualify for the automatic rezoning that a surplus residence severance would typically receive. So that is why in this case, we do have to, or council is being asked to make a decision on the zoning bylaw amendment. But again, to re-emphasize that if this application is approved, the result will be similar to that of a surplus residence severance, being that the retained farmland will be restricted in the future from another house being built on it, and that existing building parcel will be recognized for sort of where the existing buildings are. So this application was a condition put on the consent application by county council, and so the approval is necessary in order for that consent application to be finally approved and fulfilled. So again, as noted, the zoning bylaw amendment is appropriate, specifically that AG2 rezoning to restrict any future residences so that we can reduce any future impacts on surrounding agricultural uses through increased residential uses in the area. And generally speaking, the rezoning will bring the proposal into better compliance with the zoning bylaw, as well as our various agricultural policies within the South Huron official plan. So it is recommended as well that South Huron Council approve this proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Happy to answer any questions or provide any clarification on this one as well. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Selena. Are there any questions from members of council on this? Okay, not seeing any. Oh, Councillor Dietrich, go ahead, please.
Thanks to the chair. Selena, why do you rezone the agricultural land to AG2? Why can't it stay at AG1?
Selena?
Thank you. Through the mayor. So the reason it's rezoned to AG2 is because the AG2 zone specifically does not allow a residence accessory to agriculture, whereas the AG1 zone does. So if it were left as AG1, the future owner of the retained lands would, in theory, have an opportunity to construct a residence accessory to that agricultural use. And the reason we feel it's appropriate to rezone is to ensure that we don't have an increase of sensitive uses within the agricultural area that could restrict surrounding livestock uses. So that's why that rezoning is proposed in this case.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Are there any questions from members of the public that are here this evening? Okay, not seeing any out there either. I guess that there's no other questions, and are you aware of anyone else online, Madam Clerk?
There are no other members online.
Thank you very much. Then that concludes that item number 5, and we'll move to item number 6, please.
The South Huron Council now closes this public meeting at 5:45 PM.
And a mover for that, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Neeb. No discussion, call the question, all in favor. That carries with 7. Thank you. Thank you very much everyone for attending.